to the Wildwind Boat Park for this week's Q&A. I hope that you've managed to find it on the new day of the week. Thanks for tuning in if you're tuning in. If you are watching this later on and you've got some questions, feel free to put them in the comments. But of course, I won't be able to respond to them at the time because it will no longer be live at that time. But I will respond to everybody's comments. Hello, Ollie. I saw Ollie Smith. Don't know who that guy is, but he's just actually sat over there. Yeah, so as always, I've got some preloaded questions to go through. So I think I might just crack on immediately with those preloaded questions. So here we go. First one is from Fernando, who I'm not reading out, by the way. I'm not reading out the questions in their entirety because I had to write them down on a bit of paper. Oh, yo, what's up, man? Great to have you on board. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I thought that you didn't actually care. These guys over here, I've got the workforce sledging me. Okay, so Fernando asks, what are your opinions on wearing a helmet? You see people racing on the America's Cup boats and on the A-class boats, the very fast foiling boats, wearing helmets. But what about for use with small catamarans in a fairly normal situation? This is a very good question. In the past couple of years, my opinion on this has changed quite a lot. And the reason that it changed was actually because I had quite a dirty concussion and I really didn't enjoy it at all. So what I've started doing is whenever I feel that this is what I do, and you can apply this to your own. Oh yeah, Attila, nice to have you with us. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so if I'm going out sailing and I feel that there is a reasonably good chance that I am going to capsize, then I will put on a helmet, because what I don't want to do is smash my head into something solid and have another concussion or something. Hi, Jerome. Great to have you on board. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so if I feel that there is a chance of some sort of banging the head, then I'll put the helmet on, but I won't put the helmet on if the wind is a bit lighter. But that is kind of what I do. Would I recommend it to others? I certainly would recommend it to others if you are going out sailing and there is a lot of wind, or if the wind is right on the edge of your capabilities, then I think it's a good idea to put one on. Hi, Richard. Thanks for coming. Glad you guys found me on this unusual day of the week. And yeah, so that is the opinions on the helmet. First one, starting off with safety, and they do say safety first. Okay, Brett, the snow is gone, launching tomorrow. Oh yes, great news. I do feel that we are perhaps taking the weather that we have here for granted a little bit, seeing as some of you guys are still wearing coats and probably even a woolly hat, and you're going out sailing, whereas we're in shorts and t-shirts and we're too busy building boats. All right, but anyway, we've got the whole team of comedy geniuses just over. Sorry, there will be a bit of tappy noise throughout as I'm back on the telephone and off the computer. All right, so I'll just go through Fernando's second question, then I'll come on to the live questions. What is your opinion on wearing a buoyancy aid over the top or underneath the trapeze harness? Yeah, this is, I think there really isn't a clear, this is definitely better than the other. Both ways I hope that everybody kind of gets me in what I'm saying about this question. Should you put your trapeze harness on first and then your buoyancy aid on over the top, or vice versa? Most people that I know of my sailing generation and the younger people would generally put on the trapeze harness first and then the buoyancy aid over the top. Just it kind of fits better like that, and everything is then being worn as it was intended, I believe. Yeah, also, if you're just for the nuts and what would you call it? Yeah, the nuts and bolts of it. If you put your buoyancy aid on first and the trapeze harness over the top, you might actually have to go up one size of trapeze harness to be able for the shoulder strap length. But the other advantage of having the buoyancy on the top is you can need to get out your knife, your whistle, your roll of tape, anything else a bit easier. And the final advantage for buoyancy aid on over the top is it is a lot easier to buoyancy aid off. There are some situations where taking your buoyancy may be advantageous, such as if perhaps you've dropped something into the water, you need in the water, perhaps you need to get under the boat for some reason, and so on. But the other way round has also got harness, quite a large bed, the buoyancy aid pulled down, so if you do end up in the water, then the buoyancy aid isn't going to start riding up. The aid is on. I'm back on the telephone. Hayden has just taken delivery of a Hobie 14, so I think we will all congratulate Hayden there. He says, tight, should the Dolphin Striker look at a real live Dolphin Striker, which is very exciting. So, as a rough guide, would you believe there is a Dolphin Striker? When you have ringing noise, but if it rattles, that means it's too loose. I've got another 16 here. Let's just take a look at that one as well and see what she says. All right, so here we go, straight. It has got a little bit of movement. Yeah, that's all right as well. What we're doing with the Dolphin Striker is the Dolphin Striker is pushing up, which is going to be resisting the force of the rig, which is coming down, which this one has actually got a crack in it because the Dolphin Striker has been too loose in the past. So by having a tighter Dolphin Striker, that is going to prevent it cracking there. But I don't know what the numbers are for the 14, but reasonably tight would generally be enough so that it makes that noise. If it rattles, it's definitely too loose. There we go. Okay. All right, so just scrolling back. So I'm getting some heckling from the live studio audience. What's your context, man? Whoa, that is massive. I'll have to wait until I get onto that one. Yeah. Okay, phone do Uvido, hug from Brazil. Hi Brazil, great to have you on board. We've got Cebu, greetings from Germany, and I hope I'll come and stay at Vasiliki Beach. When's that? 22nd of May. Yes, we are expecting you. Yes, we're going to be open in the middle of May. Yes, we will be seeing you at that time. Yes, it will be absolutely crackerjack. All right. Oh man, what have I done? All right. Oh, Yasupano, great to have you. Is here. Hey, everyone says Yasupano. All right. Sewell Lee, hello, great to have you on board. Arno, hello from Edmonton, Canada. Oh, here we go. If Hobie asked you to design the Hobie 16 Mark II, what would you consider changing? Nice, that is a juicy question, man. I would firstly, with the actual design of the boat, like the shape of the hulls, shape of the sails, shape of everything, dimensions, I would change nothing at all. But what I would change is perhaps the construction of the boat, to change some of the parts for lighter, stiffer parts, or lighter weight parts. Like perhaps we could build the hulls from some sort of modern space age materials which would be lighter and stiffer. Perhaps, who said carbon mast? Bonus points. Someone in the studio audience said carbon mast, and I would definitely go for a carbon mast, carbon boom, carbon. Let's get the weight of the boat down, let's say 90 grams. And oh, holy, that thing is a shoot off like Ash on a Saturday night. That is fierce. Sorry about the studio audience, by the way. All right, Eric. Hello, Eric. Been a long time, but I had been featured in Show Cat episode 55. Mine was the white Hobie 16 I sold for 1,800. Full rebuild test sale. Had a 19 average on Lake Winnebago. Great stuff. Oh, yeah. I believe I remember. Send the beans. Oh, lots of your videos you produce for the speed average. Yeah, great. I'm really glad that you're getting a lot out of the videos and you're taking on board the information, processing it, and then putting it into action. That is what I would call a result. So thanks very much, Eric. Jerome, do you know forward sailing products? I'm thinking of upgrading my sails, Hobie Pearl, with them, especially the mainsail with horn. Oh, with, I think that the translation of horn would be corner, I believe. Yes, so the forward sailing equipment, all of it is, I believe, from what I've seen, very high quality, very good stuff. And yes, definitely worth investigating. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with anything from forward sailing, so I should go for it. And yeah, a very good cost-effective alternative for replacing your sails, for sure. All right. Cool, good question. All right. Sewell Lee. Joe, do you know how to repair the broken trampoline of a Hobie 16? If it is just a small tear, like I would say up to about an inch or so, what you could do to repair a small tear like that in your trampoline, I'm just flipping this around so we can have a look, is I would do is find either another piece of mesh like trampoline material or a piece of webbing like your toe strap material, cut it the right size, get some whipping twine, and then just stitch the piece over the tear in the trampoline. It might not be a beautiful repair, but it will stop a small tear from any worse. But if it is more than like an inch long tear in the trampoline, then yeah, you are going to have to take that to a sailmaker and get it repaired professionally, because the trampoline is not something to mess around with, because it takes a lot of weight, a lot of strain, and having a trampoline rip in half is all right. Right, okay, so Frank is here from St. Catharines, Canada. I believe it's Frank who's got the Hobie, the Prindle, sorry, 15 flying free. It's been featured in Show Us Your Cat. Oh, okay. My preloaded question is, you mentioned in a recent video that pulling down the downhaul helps to depower the boat in stronger winds. Could you explain? Yes, I could. Frank also preloaded a question, but I'll go for this one first. So, how does pulling the downhaul on affect the shape of your sail? All right, so when you initially put your sail up, if you look up at your sail, no downhaul on, the sail will just be hanging there pretty limp. All the battens will be pretty much straight, and it'll be covered in creases and not be a particularly attractive sail shape. If you then went, okay, I'm back. Hopefully I didn't lose. Yeah, back on the beach, and we are running the gauntlet of the local internet. But yeah, so the downhaul, we will pull. So initially when we get on the boat, what we're going to do is pull the downhaul on enough so we're taking the creases out of the sail. And you'll feel when you pull the downhaul on initially, all that shape is going to go into the mainsail. The battens will get a load of curve into there. What you can then do is pull the main sheet in about as tight as you're likely to pull it on that sailing session. Take a look at the mainsail, and then if by pulling the main sheet in that tight is affecting the shape of the sail, if creases are coming into the sail, then you need to put on a bit more downhaul. That is Ricky Nielsen. Yeah, so that is the initial setting of the downhaul. Pull a bit on, pull the main sheet in, take a look at the sail. If it looks like a creased up mess, you need a bit more downhaul. So, and what I would suggest is then when you find that point, you could then put a mark on your mast level with the bottom of the sail to mark that is the minimum amount of downhaul. Then as the wind increases, if you get to a point where you're starting to want to reduce power, then what you can do is start to increase the tension in the downhaul. And what that does is the first thing that does as you pull the downhaul tighter is it's going to flatten off the top part of the sail, opening up the leech, the back edge, which is going to allow the sail to open up, spilling wind, and that flatness is going to make the sail have much less power in the top. So the center of effort, all of the power in the sail is going to move further down and also further forwards, which is going to make the boat feel slightly less top heavy, less like it just wants to fly a hull. And instead, we're transferring that energy lower down in the sail, which is going to make the boat sail faster. As we get more power, we'll pull the downhaul on harder until the downhaul is on full. That is going to make the sail as flat as possible, which is going to make it much less powerful, and it's going to reduce the drag because we're with less downhaul on. Here's the sail. We've got a load of curve. As we pull the downhaul on, the sail is going to flatten, meaning it's less powerful, and we're going to be getting less drag from the sail, so the boat is going to go faster. There we are. So that is pretty much the story with the downhaul. If you are going sailing and it is really windy, this also actually addresses the question from Kuhn, who we're actually featuring on this weekend's Show Us Your Cat, PT73. He has asked, what is the relationship between downhaul and main sheet, what to do when it's very windy. What we want to do when it's very windy with the downhaul is to pull that bad boy on as hard as you possibly can. So one way you could get more downhaul on is by absolutely cranking the main sheet on, which you've got a bit more purchase on the main sheet, or it's generally a bit easier to pull hard. And by pulling the main sheet on really hard, that's going to pull the sail down, allowing you to get more downhaul on. There we go. And then really crank that bad boy on, and you really see how flat your sail now is. On the bigger boats, like on the Inter 20 or the F18, when you pull on a lot of downhaul, if you haven't done it before, it can feel a little bit alarming, because you'll see a load of bend in the mast as well, but that bend is helping you to flatten the sail. And with that much downhaul on, when it's windy, the boat is going to go like a rocket. You'll feel such a massive difference. If you haven't got enough downhaul on, when it's windy, you're going to feel a bit like you're fighting the boat all of the time. So the downhaul is going to make a massive difference. But back to Kuhn's question, and I know that Kuhn is sailing the Inter 20 and the F18, which are using a spinnaker downwind. One consideration when it is windy, very important for preservation of your equipment, is before you bear away, you need to release the downhaul, so that as you ease the sail out to turn the corner, your mast isn't still going to be under all that compression, which can damage your mast. If you saw the tornado mast snapping video, this is because we did a lot of mark rounding practice in a strong wind without ever easing the downhaul. So if you're going to put if you're on a spinnaker boat or a big powerful boat and you're turning from upwind to downwind, release the downhaul to about half before bearing away. Okay. Thanks for the question there, Frank. And then Frank's preloaded question was on the use of a barbour hauler on the boat. A barbour hauler basically does the same thing as a jib traveller. So let's see if I can get a bit of angle just, oh no, that'd be the same way around, wouldn't it? All right, just here. No, all right. All right, there we go. So here's our jib traveller system. But if you haven't got a jib traveller system and you've just got a jib wherever the jib goes to in one position, what you can do is have a barbour hauler, which would be to have a ring or a block which goes around the sheet, and then that barbour hauler can be used to pull your sheeting angle outboard, which effectively does exactly the same thing, really exactly the same thing as moving the jib traveller out on a 16. So everything that has been said about the jib traveller on a 16, this is exactly the same as using a barbour hauler on any boat that's got one. So the first thing is, if you're ever going to let the mainsail traveller out, you should use your barbour hauler to bring the jib sheeting angle a little bit further out than how much traveller you've got out as a percentage. If your jib is in more than the main, what you're going to do is backwind the mainsail, which is going to really destroy your airflow. You're going to have turbulent airflow around the back of the mainsail, and the boat isn't going to sail very nicely or very fast. So that is basically what to do. If the mainsail traveller is going half out, you should be pulling with your barbour hauler to go halfway to the end of the beam or to how far you can pull it out. And if the mainsail traveller is going all the way out, pull the barbour hauler all the way out. There we go. All right, I think, yeah, we've got Ricky Nielsen. He's in training for when Panos is coming out next. How many reps is that now, Rick? Is that 200? 200. 200 reps with the barbells. Crikey, this is what I'm up against on the beach here. Yeah, slightly different vibe to the Q&A this week. Oh, hi Matthew, great to have you on board. Hope you're enjoying the show. All right, Hayden says, to tighten the Dolphin Striker on a 14, do you just tighten the bolts on the front pylons that attach to the wire? Yeah, I'm pretty sure on a 14, the method of adjustment is the same as on a 16, which is like this. So you just tighten these ones. Just do it a few turns on each side at a time. Obviously, we want to keep it even. A few turns, check for the rattle. Oh, no, thanks, man, not just now. No, it'll get warm by the time I get to have it. But thanks anyway, Ollie. That's Ollie. He was offering me a beer. That's a good guy. Yeah, so that is how you would tighten that. But just a little bit at a time. Check it for the rattle or twang. And if it's getting the right amount of twang, then that is enough. Okay, Panos says no fibre optic network in Vasiliki, only sailing rocket ship. Yes. Okay, Seawell says, is there any possibility of raising the mast back on the boat while it's still in the water? Okay, Seawell Lee, if you can let me know what type of boat you're sailing. If it's a Hobie 16, then the answer is yes. If it's almost anything else, then the answer is probably not. But let me know what you're sailing and then I'll be able to give you a better answer. Okay. All right. Pedro, great to have you on board. Down in Chile, I believe. Pesty Pester. We're here to pump you up. Oh, thanks. Oh, are we still talking about Ricky with his weightlifting? All right, Keith says, Amstel o'clock. All right, and Seawell says, Hobie 16. Yeah, so you can alter the mast rake while you're sailing because on a 16, your mast rake is directly influenced by your jib halyard tension. So if you've gone out sailing and the wind is pretty light and you've gone out with maximum rig tension on so the mast is as far upright as possible, but perhaps the wind has got up, you're double trapezing and you feel that the boat just doesn't want to go, by easing the jib halyard tension and effectively loosening the rig tension, raking the mast back more, it's going to make the boat just want to go a whole lot more. So depending on what system you're running, you can just ease this off just by about that much maximum, and that much jib halyard makes a whole lot of difference. So the answer is yes, and yes, and yes some more. And in fact, I think we'll do some of that out on the water in an upcoming video, or perhaps in next week's Q&A, we'll put a boat on the water and actually put the money where the mouth is. So I'm just staying hydrated, it's very important. Russell. Long time. F-16 Nationals for United States in 30 days down in Clearwater, Florida. Can't wait. Excellent stuff. Yeah, you're not going to believe it, but I've actually written an article about how to prepare for going to an event. I will be posting that article on the Total Joyrider website in the next couple of days, and I'll put links to that everywhere, and hopefully there'll be some nuggets of information within that article that you might find useful or helpful. Excellent. And perhaps later on I'll also turn that written article into a video as well. So nice one, Russell. We wish you the best of luck down there. If you could take some photos, send them in, and we'll do a Show Us Your event for Show Us Your Cat. Very exciting times. By the way, this Sunday's Show Us Your Cat is going to be an absolute humdinger. Yeah, so make sure you tune in. We're looking at coons into 20, and some of the footage is absolutely spectacular. Okay, next question comes from Jacob. He says, have you ever sailed a Nacra 17? Okay, we've had this question before, and unfortunately, no, I haven't sailed a Nacra 17. I would absolutely love to, but I haven't had the opportunity because I live on a Greek island. We've only got what we've got, and we don't get the opportunity to sail anything that we don't actually have here. But perhaps in the future I'll go to possibly Holland to do a bit of sailing, meet some people up there. That would be, I think maybe Belgium might be on the cards as well. And he says, Jacob says, what do you think will happen with catamaran sailing in the Olympic Games with the Nacra 17? I can't see the Nacra 17 itself going any further than it has done already, because it's gone to full foiling. She's got a carbon mast on there now. Yeah, very fast boat and really great for the mixed team. And I think that the Nacra 17 is actually a really, really good Olympic boat, because it is making catamaran sailing very spectacular, which is going to help to bring people into the sport in the same way that the America's Cup perhaps is making people a bit more interested in sailing because it's so exciting. And the Nacra 17 is definitely following in that way. All right, Lisa, hi. Thanks for all information. Really helps us since we are beginners and we're learning on a Hobie 16. Great choice. That wasn't set up correctly by the previous owners. Thank you. All right, excellent stuff. Yeah, I'm glad that the videos are helping. I hope that you saw the one that I put out, I think it was on Monday, about parts of the boat, what they do. I think that's just, I felt that that would just be quite a useful video for people in the early stages of catamaran sailing, just to have a really clean, definitive, this is what, and this is what it does, this is what it's for. So, yeah, if there's anything specific that you are getting stuck with, or that you need to know, or if there's something with your boat that you can't get it to sit right, then just send me a picture and I'll see what can be done there. Okay, I'm just going to go for the next preloaded question. This is from 777, and he says, I assume 777 is a he, is the Hawaiian system better? Is the method for writing the Capsize different? Okay, so firstly, the Hawaiian system, I've still got one set up here from making the video the other day. So we're talking Capsize writing lines. Yeah, so our kind of regular Capsize writing line system is just to have a piece of rope tied around the center of the dolphin striker. You capsize, you chuck it over the hole which is in the air, you pull on it, and hopefully the boat comes upright. Now the Hawaiian system is what we've got rigged up here, which would be under the trampoline, and that is anchored at that side, goes to the back where it's taken away by a piece of elastic and then goes to the other side. Now, the benefit of the Hawaiian system is that it is always there. It's always in position. You don't have to store it in your trampoline pocket. If you do capsize, it's a very handy thing for you to grab hold of under the boat as well. Can help you to get onto the boat from in the water. You don't have to do anything to get your righting line out. And then the way that you use the Hawaiian system is effectively exactly the same as the conventional system, but you don't have to chuck it over the hull. You just grab the rope, pull on it, get as low as possible, and if there's two of you on the boat, both people on the rope, as low as possible, and the boat comes upright. And when the boat's upright, you let go of the rope and it puts itself away. Very convenient. The downside of the Hawaiian system, from what I can see, is that you have got the ropes under the boat, which could perhaps get caught in the waves under the water. Get caught in the water under the boat. Yasu, which could slow you down a bit. So that is the negative point of the Hawaiian system. You really have to have it set up as high as possible under the boat so it doesn't hit the waves. There we go. All right, so that is what I feel about the Hawaiian system. Why don't we have it set up on all our boats here? Maybe we will in the future, but we're very much creatures of habit, and we've always had our boats set up with what I'm calling the conventional system. So that is what we're sticking with. All right. All right, just scrolling back. All right, Timon is on board. Nice to have you on board. And he says, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, we've been working hard on the beach with the dudes. We've got 5, in fact, this is the panorama. These guys are sat over there drinking beer with the occasional heckle coming in. Yeah, it's all going pretty well. We've got quite a lot of progress made on the Wildwind Beach now. We've got most of the monohulls down and together. Big catamaran day coming up, which are going to occupy some of the space. We're putting all the catamarans here this year just to shake things up. Everyone enjoys a shake up, I think you'll find. All right. Hello, Sky. Question, putting a spinnaker on a Prindle 18 on a budget. Okay. I plan on using a sunfish boom as the bowsprit. Any words of wisdom on making sure the bowsprit doesn't have any mechanical issues, such as snapping in half, for example? Yeah, we've definitely done spinnaker systems on budget before, and if you can get hold of a windsurfing mast, that might be a little bit better than your sunfish boom. I'm assuming that the sunfish boom is like an aluminium section about yay, which will be quite chunky, whereas a windsurfing mast will be a lot narrower, which won't be putting as much weight at the front of the boat. But if that's all you've got to work with, then you've got to work with what you've got. And then where can we have a look? All right, we'll have a look over here. Okay, and then to prevent breaking your bowsprit, this is some solid gold information, because when the Hobie Tiger first came out, it wasn't rigged quite the same, and we went through a lot of bowsprits. So there is actually a rope missing at the moment on this one. So what you would generally have, 40 diameter, okay. Yeah, that sounds all right. That will work. So you'd usually have a rope coming up from the middle, to the base of your forestay or the bridle wires. And then what is important is all of the ropes or wires that are holding the bowsprit downwards are fairly tight. So when you've got this rope which is holding it up tensioned, that should be pulling plenty of tension into the pole so that there's a slight bend in the pole. What we want is the pole to be slightly bent this way, like that. Because if the pole is slightly bent upwards, it means when there's tension in the spinnaker pulling the tip of the pole upwards, the pole is never, so if this is the pole is never gonna go beyond straight and up the other way. So as long as it can't go all the way to straight, you're not gonna snap the pole. If the pole can bend upwards and you're gonna sail with a stronger wind, there is a chance you could snap the pole. So put a bit of tension into this line here to make sure there is a bit of bend in the pole, and your pole will be fine. Something that's been added later on, it was around the year 2000, I believe, when intermediate pole bridles started getting fitted, which stopped the pole, give it more stability as well. So well worth fitting intermediate pole bridles as well. And once you've got the front ones tensioned and the middle line, then tighten these to hold the pole right into the middle of the boat. There we go. All right. Oh, hi, Oscar. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, Willem, coming from windsurfing, it is also very exciting that windsurfing is moving to foils in the Olympics in 2024. Probably similar with the Nacra 17. Yeah, very exciting indeed, I would say. Yeah, this foiling windsurfing racing is really exciting to watch. I believe I've got my camera pointing at Oscar's next question. When are you going to build up the new Tiger? It is right here in front of my eyes, but it's not completely finished. Yeah, it is a Tiger. I'm just going to... Oscar said it would be nice if you could make a video on how to put the downhaul into the front beam. Yes, I know I said I was going to do that. I am going to do that, but at the moment I'm still waiting for our supply of new rope to arrive, and until I get the new rope I can't do it, unfortunately. But we can see that this Tiger, the end of the beam is still closed, so we're going to have to open that bad boy up, put a fitting in there so that the rope doesn't wear a hole in it, and then we'll rig up our downhaul and jib sheet takeaway systems to go into the boom. Very exciting times. All right. I know I say very exciting times, a bit too much perhaps. All right, Sewell says, Sewell Lee, if the Hobie 16 mast falls down due to a broken shroud during sailing, what are your suggestions? Ooh, all right. This is a really juicy question. I like it. I don't think we've had this one before. Yeah, I have had it quite several times where the mast has fallen down whilst sailing. Whether it's a broken shroud, broken forestay, or anything else, maybe embarrassingly, perhaps you've lost a pin in your shroud, shackles come undone at the top of the mast. Oops. Then what I would usually do once effectively the dust has settled, you've got back onto the boat, is to kind of drag the mast onto the boat with the sail and then start working towards taking the sails off the mast. Your rigging is going to end up in a bit of a mess. It's very difficult to avoid that, but getting the sails off the mast first would be the first thing to do. Perhaps, or perhaps even before that, if you are sailing in a situation where, all right, let's backpedal slightly. if you're going out sailing and there's not any kind of safety cover, if you're going out and there's very few other water users around, then it would be a pretty strong recommendation to take a phone with you when you go out sailing in a dry bag. You could also use that for your GPS, for the speed stick. And then if your mast does come down, then you will have somebody to call. And perhaps before you go sailing, you know, maybe the day before, or when you're thinking about your sailing season, think about, if you're out sailing and something happens to your boat, such as the mast coming down, who would you call? Who would be able to make your situation better? So you need somebody who's got access to a boat, or who could get in touch with the Coast Guard, or just to call the Coast Guard directly if that's your only option. But have those choices made before you go sailing. So if you do the work before you go sailing, because of the way the universe works, it's much less likely you're going to need to use those phone numbers, because it's less likely that something bad is going to happen while you're out sailing. Whereas if you're completely unprepared, the likelihood of something happening is much more. So do the preparations, put the numbers in your phone of the Coast Guard in your area, or if you've got a friend who's a fisherman or who's got a powerboat, brilliant, put their number in your phone, let them know that you're going out, just and find out if they're going to be around, and make plans before you go out. So then you're out sailing, mast falls down, you're okay, get back on the boat, obviously making sure both people on the boat are okay. Then the first thing, once everything's fine, is to start taking the sails off the mast, get them rolled up and tucked under a tow strap, perhaps on the trampoline. It can be quite tricky getting the main sail off the mast. You have to release the downhaul and then release the main halyard, which can be tricky. Yeah, but get them rolled up on the boat, then get the mast onto the boat as much as you can so it's not in the water, and so that it's not going to interfere with your steering. So when you are getting towed back in, you've still got full steering capabilities on your boat. Get it tied into position there, use whatever ropes you've got available, and then once you've done that, what I would generally do, I think we're able to see this, is I would generally take my Capsize righting line, and then with the way we've got our boats here is we have a little loop of rope for our moorings, and I would pass my Capsize righting line through that loop kind of like that, and then I'd bring it back to the boat. So then when the boat that's going to tow us back in arrives, we can just pass him or throw him the end of the Capsize righting line. He can attach his rope onto there, and then off we go. We are ready. We're not going to take up any more of his time than necessary. There we go. That is what I would do, definitely. But perhaps one thing we missed out there is when the mast has come down, make sure that everybody on the boat is in good shape and there have been no injuries incurred. I thought that was a pretty good answer. If we could have no further questions now, please. We've been going for 50 minutes. Pardon. I've still got a few preloaded questions left in the bag. All right. Timon says, I'm considering buying a Jenica for my FX1. How much would it all cost together? And should you buy new things rather than used parts? I think I tell you what, if you could get a complete FX1 spinnaker system second-hand or used, I'd say there's not much. that would be absolutely fine. You don't have to buy a new one. The difficulty is going to be finding a complete system used. Now, I have made a video on what do you need to fit a spinnaker system to your boat, which goes through all of the parts, all of the little pulley blocks, the cleats, everything you need. I'll look for that one after we've finished, and I'll put a link in the video description once this is uploaded. Or you could just have a look for it if then you could check that out, because that will tell you everything you need. But so you could go out and source all of the parts individually that you need to put the spinnaker on the boat. But yeah, it'll be a bit more of a job, but it will be you'll feel like you've done a custom job on your boat, rather than just phoning up your Hobie dealer and saying, I'd like a complete spinnaker kit for an FX1. And that, I would assume, what do we think, chaps? Spinnaker kit for an FX1. Yeah, but how much will it cost, do you think, from Hobie? How many thousands?
1,500.
I think you guys, we've got, from the guys, we've got between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm thinking more like 3 grand.
2,300.
Or 2,300 comes in with Ipswich. Yeah, so it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be worth it. You are, of course, going to need to get a spinnaker, and buying the spinnaker from a third-party sailmaker is going to be much, much cheaper. Do check out OS3 Sails here in Vasiliki. They make our FX1 spinnakers. They're very good spinnakers and well worth a look, and probably about half the price, half the price of one from Hobie. So worth a look there. Okay, scrolling back, no more questions, please. All right, where are we up to? Oscar, is it with carbon rudder blades? Oh, the Tiger. It's with what Hobie call the White Knight rudder blades, which are the polyester rudder blades, which are reinforced with carbon fibre, which on the Tiger, they work absolutely fine. But our experience with those rudder blades on the 16 wasn't so good, which is why we changed to EPOs. You can't get the EPO rudder blades in the right shape for the Tiger, and they would be very expensive. Hello, Germans fan. Great to have you on board. All right, Sky says an elastic bungee strap, tarp strap, with the hook ends is always handy on a boat. Yeah, definitely. If being prepared, that's going to help in many situations. I think it's always worth taking some stuff with you on the boat for that, just in case. That what if this happens, what if that happens, and think, okay, if the mast falls down, what is going to be really useful to have on the boat, apart from a new shroud, perhaps, and a mast hinge, but perhaps a couple of meters of rope, so you don't have to use your main halyard to tie things on. That might make things a bit easier later on. All right, Oscar says he's thinking if he should buy a pair of carbon blades for your 20. Yeah, I think worth checking out what is around, especially second-hand. If you check out two places to check out, both, I'm only saying these ones because they're ones that I know about in Europe, and one is Hobie Cat in Holland. I believe their website address is hobiecat.nl, and also BNR Watersports, also in Holland, and I think they are bnrwatersports.com. Worth checking them out because they have a lot of used catamaran equipment, and you never know when you might get lucky, as well as, of course, eBay and other things. Okay, sorry, I can't read Korean writing, but so I don't know what your name is, but it's nighttime in Korea, but it's morning there. No, it's actually, what is it now? 6:30 in the evening here in Greece. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I should think you're 5 hours ahead, maybe 6. But thanks for tuning in. All right. Oh yeah, Richard Catherine says, quick fire question round. Like it. Okay. Okay, Royal says, what do you think about the laser? Oh, that's a good question. I think the laser is an absolutely fantastic boat. It's very simple. It can, to sail a laser is relatively easy, but you do need to use pretty good technique. And much like the Hobie 16, you'll learn good general sailing technique with a laser. Your body weight position is pretty critical on a laser as well. So it really does get you into some good habits. But then the laser is a boat that will progress with you through your sailing career. So if you're a beginner right now, you could get on a laser, you could sail the laser, and the laser will give you more as your skills develop until you get to like club racing, and then maybe moving up the fleet through the club racing. Maybe when you start hitting the top 10, you decide to treat yourself to a newer boat, and then you might get boosted up the fleet a bit more. Then maybe you go to like a national championships or something. So the laser really is going to keep you interested for a very, very long time. So yes, big fan of the laser, but it's very simple, very well built. These hulls especially will probably go on forever. So if you're thinking of getting a laser, then you should get a laser. There isn't really anything else that does the same job as well. Now, not a topper. Toppers, you've got to be really light to sail a topper. Getting more heckling. All right, so just a few more preloaded questions to look at before we wrap this up. Looks like the guys are leaving. That's nice. Yeah. All right, so we've got Kurosh in Dubai. He says he's noticed that some F-18s, Nacra infusions to be specific, have got straight booms and some have got curved booms. Okay, so the curved booms will be mostly on, well, entirely on boats using deck sweeper sails. We looked at the deck sweeper sails 2 weeks ago, and these are sails that come all the way down and they meet the trampoline. The reason why these boats have got a curved boom is so that the boom doesn't interfere with the sail shape. If it had a straight boom, the sail would push in to the boom and you'd get some distortion of the sail shape around the boom, which is why we have a curved boom. Whereas, see you guys, whereas all the boats which have a conventional sail will have a straight boom because there's no need to have a curved boom. There we are. Okay, got a question from Matt Fly 94. He says, how can you reduce movement between the corner castings of the trampoline and the castings? Sorry, Rick, you didn't lock it, did you? Just making sure I could still get in. All right, yeah, sorry, I was distracted there. How can you reduce play between the castings, which would be here, and the pylons? So if your boat has really had a lot of action, there is going to be some wear on the inside of here, on the outside of there, which can make it a lot more flexible. So the only thing you can do with that is find something that you can put up in between. So you could use some thin pieces of plastic which you could push up there, similar to what you use for taking the movement out of your rudder system. Of course, that plastic is going to degrade over time. I've heard of people using bits of beer cans stuck up there, but that, unless you get it all the way in If any of it sticks out the bottom, that's going to be quite sharp, but perhaps some, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I know that in Australia, a lot of the guys actually epoxy the pylons to the castings, so the boats are absolutely rigid, and that is going to make the boat very stiff indeed. So those are your options there, but you definitely want to see about getting something up in there to take that movement out from this join here. If we could have no further questions, please. Just because we have been going for over an hour now. We've still got some preloaded ones to get through. All right. Ollie, that is still open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Jake Raw Pixel. Oh yeah, we were having a bit of chat during the premiere of the boat parts video. He asks, are toggles, or what I like to call twisty bits, necessary? This is a very good question. All right, what is the point of the twisty bit? Let's have a look at a twisty bit. So, this is, I think this is just a Hobie thing. I don't think other brands use this, but what we have at the base of our rigging is this part, which is a twisty bit, and then we've got the chain plate, which pins on to the twisty bit or toggle. The reason that we have this is so that we can have, this can move forwards and backwards like this, and then from this joint, it can move sideways. Because when this shroud is on the leeward side, you'll probably see it when you're sailing. When this is on the leeward side, it goes pretty slack. And if it could not move sideways, for example, we're going to get some sort of wear somewhere, which is going to wear something out a lot quicker than having these two joints, allowing it to go forwards, backwards, and side to side. So these are going to prolong the life of your rigging, of your chain plates, and everything else. So it is a good idea having these twisty bit toggles, but it isn't absolutely essential. If you haven't got them, I would recommend that you have these shroud anchor bars angled, because these screw into a bar underneath. Have these so that they point, as we've got it here, forwards, backwards, so that that can move that way rather than in and out. There we are. Okay, next. All right, I do believe actually that is all of the preloaded questions done. I did see a few questions just coming in. Jake's there. Hi, Jake. Thanks for tuning in. Hope that was a fairly decent answer. All right, Raphael, hello from Brazil. Hi, great to have you with us. It's really nice to be reaching so far and wide around the planet. Oh, the Knack Daddy is here. All right, from Greensboro, North Carolina. All right, so Germans fan, big boss talking to his workers. Yeah, I think I was just making sure that they hadn't locked the workshop so I can still get in, because I've left everything in there. All right, Jake Raw Pixel says 7-hole or 10-hole adjuster for shrouds on an 80s Hobie. I'm just going to count for you, actually. I think that's a 10. Yeah, that's 10. 10. 10, but to be honest, we never use the higher up holes. So if you've got an 8-hole adjuster, there is absolutely no reason to change it. But these are a part, these chain plate shroud adjusters, it is worth keeping an eye on them to look for any fatigue in the metal, because they do go over time. So if it's starting to look a bit worn, or maybe because they're in two halves, if they have separated, maybe it's time to just put on a new pair. Everything we can possibly do to prevent the mast from falling down. All right, David says, pond liner for paddling it out. Pond liner for paddling it out. Sorry, David, I'm not getting your context there. All right, Sewell Lee, which model is the best performance boat amongst the Hobie catamaran fleet? What are the differences between the Wildcat and the Tiger? That is a juicy question. All right, let's have a think there. All right, so with it in the Hobie range these days, the highest performance boat is going to be the Hobie Wildcat of the boats which are still in production. The Wildcat was actually brought out to replace the Hobie Tiger. That would have been around, what year would that have been? 2011 maybe? No, earlier than that, 2009. The Wildcat came out, and the reason the Wildcat came out was because the Tiger was no longer competitive against the other F-18 catamarans which were coming out. The new F-18s were all coming out with this flat bottomed hull shape, which we talked about last week, with very long dagger boards and rudders, and with a deeper, more winged mast section, making the boat much more efficient on all points of sail. And the volume distribution in the hulls as well made the boat much easier to sail. In certain conditions, the Tiger is still just as fast as the Wildcat or the new F-18s, but only in very specific conditions, which I couldn't say what those conditions would be. But you can't take anything away from the Hobie Tiger. It is an absolutely fantastic boat, just as good as it was then, it is now. It's just not as easy to sail really fast as the new F-18s that are coming out. The more modern the design of the boat is, generally it's going to be quicker because it's a bit easier to sail fast. So, for example, the good old design Akura is going to be, or the Nacra Evolution, are going to be probably some of the quickest F-18s out there because they've got the most modern design. They've taken on board every single design feature that's ever been used, taken the best ones, discarded the ones that weren't so good. They've modified the best design features to make the ultimate F-18 catamarans. And whoever designs the next boat is probably going to be right up there with one of the fastest boats because they've got the benefit of this history of design points. So the newer the boat, the quicker it's going to be, the easier it's going to be to sail. And things like the more modern boats are going to be stiffer as well because the method of the boats being joined together, like at the beams, is much better on the modern boats than it was on the older boats, that kind of thing. So there we go. But with one key difference between the Wildcat and the Tiger is these long dagger boards. If you're looking at what should you get, I would go, unless you're going to be racing in a pretty hot fleet, I would go for the Tiger. You can get one much, 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 much cheaper, and the boat is much more durable. The Wildcat has been prone to snappy dagger boards. Not to say that we don't snap a few on the Tigers, but these long, narrow dagger boards on the Wildcat have been known to break. So you really have to be on your best behaviour with the dagger boards on a Wildcat. As I said, no further questions, please. Oh, here we go. Quite a lot of scrolling back here. Lorenzo, hi, ciao. How you doing? Lorenzo says, if I capsize when the catamaran is in the upwind position. I have to let the sails off and the downhaul off in order to avoid the restart of the boat while I'm in the water. But what do I do if I'm downwind? Yeah, if you're downwind, exactly the same procedure as... So Lorenzo's saying if he's capsized and he's been sailing upwind, let off the downhaul, let off the sails before bringing the boat back upright. But if he's been sailing downwind, is there any difference? Effectively, no. The only difference is you'll have to drop the spinnaker as well, which on a boat with a chute is pretty easy to do from in the water. So get the spinnaker down, get the downhaul off, release the main sheet, and on a boat with a self-tacking jib, don't let the traveller off completely. We're going to do some R&D on this once we're back out on the water with how much traveller should we let off before righting the boat. If we have the traveller all the way out, what can happen is the boat can bear away quite a lot when it comes back upright, which can take you off for a bit of a drag. So we are not going to let the traveller all the way out, but we are going to let the main sheet out. Thanks for coming, Lorenzo. Great stuff. Knack Daddy says, thin stainless steel shims work well to take the slop out between the castings and pylons. Yeah, that would be really nice, I should think. But of course, if we're using stainless steel in there, we are going to have to use some sort of barrier paste to stop that corrosion happening between the aluminium and the stainless. Okay, Knack Daddy continues. The twisty bit also helps prevent the shroud adjuster from getting bent up. Oh, when you raise the mast, if things get into a weird tanglement. Okay, the battery on my phone is about to go, by the way. Been going for longer than I'd intended. Not to be whinging or anything. All right, Jake says super helpful. Thank you. Thanks, Jake. David says wrap pond liner around the pylon. Aha, pond liner. So I think everybody with a slightly loose 16 should be researching pond liner. I'm certainly going to have a look. Thanks for the tip there, David. I trust that you've used that on your boat. Okay, Kurosh says, I've recently noticed someone advertising a used sail suited for the 90 plus kilo person, while another one posted is for the lighter person. Are sails designed according to boat specs or to sailor weights? They're generally designed to boat specifications, but it really depends on what type of boat it's for. I think on some classes, like on the A class especially, sails will be designed for a weight of sailor. Like for a heavier sailor, the sail is going to be much fuller, whereas for a lighter sailor, the sail will be cut with a much flatter profile. We're definitely on the quick answers now. Okay, Knack Daddy said, is the Goodall F18 superior to the Hobie Wildcat? Yeah, like I was saying, that. So if you're talking the Goodall, that would either be the C2 or the new Acura, both of which are more modern designs than the Wildcat, and thus both are superior to the Wildcat. But one big difference with the Goodall boats versus the Wildcat is the durability and the strength of those dagger boards. Much stronger on the Goodall C2 than on the Wildcat. Okay, all right, Kurosh says, what is the difference between sail made for a heavy person? Is the width bigger? No, it's fuller. It's fuller, so more shape. Yeah, sorry, we're definitely into the quick answers now. Brian, really enjoy your fun educational videos. I'm learning a lot. Thanks very much, Brian. And I think on that note, that is all that I have got time for today. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Do let me know, perhaps in the comments, because once I've tuned out here, then the live chat isn't going to work. But perhaps put it in the comments if you prefer the Friday or the Wednesday for the live Q&A, and I'll put it on a community tab as well on the YouTube page. and we'll take a vote on it, and that's what we'll do in the future. Thanks very much for tuning in. Do check out Show Us Your Cat on Sunday. It's one of, I'd say it's up there as one of the greats, thanks to Koen in the Netherlands. Oh no, Kurosh, I was just saying it's not permanent, but what we're going to do is take a vote on what people would prefer, whether it's Friday or Wednesday. I just had to change to Friday this week due to a scheduling issue. Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. If you want to support Joyrider TV, of course, you can hit the like button, or you can head over to totaljoyrider.com, where we've got a new line of Tornado t-shirts just in. If you want me to put a line of your type of boat t-shirts into the Joyrider TV shop so you can have a browse, then let me know and I'll do it. I'll do it. If you want some Hobie 20 t-shirts in there, doesn't mean you've got to buy one, but it's nice to browse, isn't it? There we go. Lovely old job.